My name is Betty Grant. I'm 49 years old, and I am from Memphis, Tennessee, and here in Marchand, Tyronza. I have been at God's New Life for approximately 9 months, minus 2 weeks, because I decided to leave and think I had all the Jesus I needed. But I will rewind. I was raised over here until I was 10 years old, off and on to Memphis, Tennessee. My dad was out of the Army, and my mother was just my mother. And so I went to the girls' home when I was 10 because my parents were severe alcoholics. I stayed there for 3 years. It was in Mississippi, and then when I turned 15, I thought that I was grown and could do what I wanted to do, so I ran away from there and went back to find my mom and dad, and then we moved over here. And I started meeting people, and just like my friends, I didn't know anything about drugs. I knew all about alcohol, but not drugs. And my parents allowed me to smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol. So that was just a thing for me. And it stayed a thing for me until I was 18 or 19 years old. And then I started experimenting with marijuana. And then about 3-4 years later, I was for the first time introduced to methamphetamine. And I quit doing that and got pregnant with my first son and thought that I was going to have just this great life. I just imagined a house with white picket fence and going to church, and that was just a fairy tale. And about 3-4 years of that, and I got into a really bad divorce battle, custody battle over my son, and I went back to using meth, really heavy, and drinking, and taking a lot of pills. And then finally I ended up messing myself up so bad with that I ended up losing custody of my son. And 4 years after that, my son was 4 years old and 5 when they took him away from me. So I had my daughter, and she was a year old when I had lost my custody of my son. And so I just continued to drink and do meth and pills. And there went my second marriage, ending in divorce. And then 4 years after that, I got married and I had my third son. And I actually prayed to God for my husband and my son. And God gave them to me. And I tried really hard. I tried really hard to be the wife and mother that I was supposed to be. That everything was going to be different. And it worked well for about 7-8 years. The 9th year that I was sober, everything seemed to be going well, but I had gotten my driver's license back. And so I started going back to the liquor store after I would go get my kids from school. And then I started taking prescription medicines. And I started leaving the house and leaving my children screaming in the driveway. And I've done this for quite a few years. I would always get to go back home and never seemed to really learn anything, which I would try really hard to read, and I always knew that there was something in the Bible that I was supposed to learn to be able to apply to my life to make it better, but I just couldn't seem to get a grip on what it was, and I knew there was always something missing because I kept just searching for things. I still do that today, but I search out in the Bible because I've always known that there's something. The joy that I have in being able to wake up every morning and praise the Lord, that's what makes me happy. That is just the absolute awesomest thing. Because in the past, when I was in church and had my kids in church, my daughter has said that she knows that it does make me happy to be able to serve the Lord and worship Him and just learn about Him. She's always seen that in me. So I do know that that's where it all comes from, is just being able to just sit still and just see each and every day when He just gives me my day to see what all is going to happen in a day's time as long as I'm serving Him. It's just an awesome thing for me. You know, I've been here, like I said, for a minute. I have a lot of responsibilities, it seems like I always have since I've been here. But I'm going to tell you, you find a piece, it's almost, the puzzle comes complete the more you sit here and the more you learn about the things that you really should have been doing, which is serving the Lord all along. Being that I'm fixing to be 50, if you would have just only known how to apply it to your life and been able to enjoy it then, your life wouldn't have been so crazy. There are true ups and downs, but I think it's well been worth it for me. I can't sit here and say that I'm going to stay, and I can't sit here and say I'm going to leave. I think I want to because I'm scared still to this day of change. Reverting back to old ways. It's got a lot of good learning tools. And it will give you peace and joy only that you can get from God.